Fire, their shine is a lie. Anu and Pandemonium's gloom Tathamet's corpses fuel this cosmos. Lore calls them a prison for the lords of sin. Their shine is a lie. Anu and Pandemonium's gloom Tathamet's corpses fuel this cosmos. Their war-forged gates not to seal sin, but to entomb their shattered remains. What you revere as heaven's architecture is a mausoleum, built on the corpse of a god who became the lie. The diamond gates were never meant to hold the lords of sin, they were meant to feed them. The high heavens were built on a stolen hymn Anus' final breath, twisted into a trap. Crystal arch pulses with a fractured god's spine, birthing angels who kneel to the lie. The diamond gates do not cage chaos, they channel it. Every prayer to Anus' name stitches the prison tighter, unaware they fortify the tomb where the true prisoners are not the damned, but the divine. The forge of the pinnacle of heaven burned with searing light, its heat blistering the void. Imperious's breath reeked of ozone as he shaped the first spire, his hammer ringing against celestial ore like a death knell. Ithariel watched, her voice a frost-kissed whisper, *, this structure will not stand, *, he ignored her. The cold of the tribunal chamber later felt like a tomb. 3 divine figures stood locked in a triangle of judgment. Imperious's tongue was a blade, * sanctuary is a rot in Anu's body. Cut it out, * Ithariel's hands trembled, not from fear, but from knowing. Malthael's laughter hissed like steam on metal, * agreed. * the vote became a scar on the cosmos. The diamond gates gleam not with Anu's light, but with Imperious's stolen fire. Their edges hum with a false resonance, a lie chanted by billions. Beneath the pinnacle's shadow, the truth curdles. Anu's design was a loom, weaving balance between light and dark. Imperious's hubris split the fabric. He believed the prison's flaw was in its locks, not its architect. The scent of burnt incense clings to the gates, a relic of prayers that fuel the wrong war. Somewhere Anu's shattered will festers, not in chains, but in the minds that think they've bound him. The high heavens are a monument to a thief's blueprint, and every hymn sung there carves deeper into the grave of gods. The pinnacle of heaven hums with a light colder than starlight. Its spires slice the celestial firmament, their edges ringing with a resonance only the devout can hear, a hymn woven from stolen divinity. Beneath this, the crystal arch pulses like a lung, its facets casting prismatic warmth over the angels cradled within. Their wings, still unfurled from birth, drink the radiance of a lie, that their origin is holy, not the brutal contortion of Anu's spine, fossilized into a cradle of light. The air reeks of ozone and incense, as if the heavens themselves sweat under the weight of this deception. Here in the arch's shadow, the first angels learn to kneel. Their training chambers echo with the sighs of ancient battles, the phantom screams of a god whose spine was harvested, not honored. One such angel, tasked with anointing newborns at the arch, once paused. A single drop of light fell from the spliced bone, searing their palm with a name not their own. *Anu*. The realization curdled the sweet air into something acrid, but the diamond gates slammed shut, sealing the truth with their diamond teeth. Beyond them, the high heavens gleam, a mausoleum, masquerading as a sanctuary. Each tessera of its walls thrums with the stolen breath of a murdered god. The gates, so often called unbreakable, are not a barrier but a cage, not against the lords of sin. Against the ghost of the architect who carved their prison from his own corpse, only to be buried beneath the praises of those he sought to save. Imperius saw the truth. He did not build a prison, he carved a tomb for a god's shadow. Anu had cast his own darkness into Tathamet, a wound bleeding across eternity. Imperius stole that secret, he carved it into the pinnacle of heaven. The diamond gates were never meant to bind the lords of sin, they were meant to entomb the architect's guilt. The celestial forge burned. Imperius twisted Anu's design, forging a lie into its foundation. The gates became monuments to a theft, Anu's self-made chains, repurposed as triumph. The high heavens stand on a corpse, not of the damned, of the God who made them. What did Imperius gain? A cosmos unbalanced. A prison that could not hold. The Worldstone's first scar bled from this betrayal. The Horadrim would not find Tal Rasha. They would find the rot in Anu's own heart. The lie endures, the gates still shine, but beneath their light Tathamet's breath stirs. A whisper in the walls, a hunger in the stars. You think the high heavens are safe, they are a mausoleum. And the dead do not stay buried. But the ruin you walk through now is later than that, the wound opened wider still. The diamond gates did not cage Cynthia, suffocated a shadow Anu could not bear. His darkness cast forth became Tathemit's breath, the conflict you name eternal. A dirge for what died first. The gates are not walls, they are a shroud, and every star that hungers feeds. The diamond gates rose on a lie, that Anu's name could be carved from his corpse without the chisel bleeding. The pinnacle of heaven, once his heart, now rots a tomb for a god who died screaming. What walls you call eternal were built to cage his memory, not the lords of sin. Tristram's spires bent first, their light choked by Diablo's shadow. The last to stand was High Priestess Lyda, her hands still stained with the blood of the holy oil she poured to buy breath. The first to flee, King Laeric, who swapped his crown for a rat's hole beneath the crypt. Mount Arete burned not by demon fire, but by men who believed the sky's collapse was a mercy. Chaldean scholars drank Belial's honeyed lies like wine, their ink-stained fingers too numb to trace the serpent in their scrolls. You call this the eternal conflict. A child's fable, heaven and hell are but scavengers, picking bones from a dinner that ended before stars had names. The gates did not trap evil, they buried a secret. Anu and Tathemit are ash, their war was never yours to inherit. Every prayer to seal the fractures is a dirge for the dead, every sword raised a stake through a ghost's heart. What remains is not rebellion. It is mourning, the high heavens weep in stone, their diamond tears pooling where a god's soul shattered. And below, the sinner's feast in lies, on borrowed time, on the delusion that anything left here is worth saving. The diamond gates loom, their facets clouded with ash of battles never fought. Their archways once promised Puritino, they frame a void where Anu's name drowns in silence. The high heavens breathe through broken ribs, each corridor a throat rattling with the Horadrim's dying hymns. What purpose did these gates serve when their foundation was a theft? The truth gnaws, Anu's design was never about binding sin, it was a mask. The celestial blueprints, carved by angels blind to their own rot, twisted his original pact into a cage for the wrong gods. The Horadrim built their sanctums on this lie, their order a clockwork doomed to unwind. Their scrolls whisper of a purity that never existed, while the gate's keystones crumble, revealing the raw, unvarnished truth, a scar where Anu's true purpose was scribed over in blood. Now Lilith's faithful wade through the ruins, not to purify, but to harvest. They gather fragments of the old wards, not to seal hell, but to fuel their own ascent. The high heavens are no fortress. They are a monument to failure. Every glowing spire is a tomb for a promise that curdled. The gates do not keep evil out. They keep the living from seeing what festers inside. And beneath the rubble, something stirs, neither god nor demon, but the echo of a truth the high heavens buried too deep. Tyrael's defiance cracked the high heavens' council. He saw sanctuary's destruction as a slow genocide, not salvation. Exiled to the mortal realm, he became a shadow of the archangel he once was. Malthael, his twin, embraced the tribunal's verdict. He carved his hatred into the diamond gates, believing annihilation was mercy. His hammers shaped not walls but graves, each strike a eulogy for a world he never knew. Imperius, the architect of hubris, forged the gates from a stolen echo. He claimed to channel Anu's will, but the truth was a corpse-picked Cain, rewired. The gates stand not to imprison the lords of sin, but to cage the lie that birthed them. What if the sin was never the fall? What if it was the cover-up? The high heavens breathe on, their spires built on a rotting secret. Tyrael's name is a whisper. Malthael's tools rust in the wind. Imperius's blueprints crumble from within. And beneath their footsteps the echo grows louder, neither god nor demon, but the weight of a truth too heavy to unearth. The relics do not lie. Soulstone shards hum with a god's final breath, their surfaces etched by hands that became stone. Horadric tomes, inked in ash and desperation, name the diamond gates as a prison, but for what? The crystal arch fractures where Anu's spine should be whole. Angels born of its shards inherit a flaw, wings that crack mid-flight, eyes that bleed starlight, a design corrupted, a truth excised. The diamond gates were not forged to chain the lords of sin. Their geometry mirrors Anu's original form, a cage not for Diablo's kin, but for the god himself. The chroniclers called it salvation, the relics call it theft. Anu's essence was split, his design rewritten. The high heavens stand on a wound, their spires built from stolen divinity. Every prayer echoes through a hollow spine. Every battle beneath their shadow reshapes a stolen sky. The binder who trapped Anu became stone, yes, but what of the binder's shadow? The soul stone's whisper grows louder, nothing is imprisoned here. Everything is borrowed, the diamond gates were never a barrier. They are a mirror, and in their reflection the heavens themselves tremble. The architects of the high heavens carved their spires from a half-truth. Anu's essence was never light, Tath-Emet's was never shadow. They were twin storms colliding, a war without end or side. The diamond gates were not built to trap Diablo. They were built to bury the memory that Anu and Tath-Emet had already died. Their fragments, shards of a shattered god and a devoured goddess, were fused into every keystone. The gates hum with the echo of their death throes. The high heavens are a mausoleum, a monument to the lie that divine ambition can be tamed. The architects believed they could cage chaos by pretending it had form. They chiseled Anu's fragments into laws, Tath-Emet's into devotions. But the conflict does not respect laws, it does not hunger for devotion, it is the void between breaths, the absence of peace. The gates hold only because the conflict permits it, a pause in the storm. Every prayer whispered beneath their arches is a thread in the same tapestry, an illusion of order woven from the entrails of gods. The high heavens do not contain the eternal conflict, they are its latest incarnation, stone and dogma crumbling as all things must. The truth is written in the cracks of every starry dome. No barrier built by mortal hands or divine once can outlast the hunger to destroy itself. The diamond gates are not a victory, they are a requiem, and the conflict, it is already inside. What if the diamond gates were never meant to imprison the lords of sin? The celestial blueprints were rewritten, Anu's name etched in betrayal. Inarius and Lilith stole the worldstone not to save, but to sever. Sanctuary's foundation, a theft, the Nephilim bleed a bloodline they never conspired to carry. Divine legacy or cursed inheritance, the high heavens were built on a lie.